Oh, good, you're here. Come on. This is the centre of performance. Whenever there's a top performance in New Zealand, it all comes from here. That's Lisa Carrington. She's been doing that for days. That's the boy who got the hole-in-one in Tumour. Oh, he did it again. Hey, Finn, how's the performance going?
Top tier.
Nice. This is our Generate room. In here, you'll find our top performers helping Kiwis maximise their KiwiSaver investments. Get in here, Finn. Maximise.
Right,
Generate. Putting performance first.
Nigel Latta, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you, Dom. It's great to be here.
It is such an honour for me. I was saying to you just a couple of seconds ago, like you're a white whale guest for me. This is like a dream guest, and even more so, I think, given the current circumstances.
Well, it's a good day out for me because my days now are mostly staying at home. So actually getting to come out and do stuff is kind of cool. I've watched a few of your podcasts and stuff, and so it's cool. It's cool being here. It still seems odd to me that anybody would want to chat to me about stuff that I've done because I just think, well, I just did stuff, you know. So this is it's like
no, but you've done so. I put on Instagram that you were coming in, and did anyone have any questions? And to be honest, like 80% of it was just like well wishes and just people saying.
People are super nice. Do you know what I mean? It's like every time you, I've always had. I should stop turning away from the microphone, shouldn't I? I've always been really confident in the fundamental kind of goodness of people because they just are. And so people have been lovely. Like I've had some lovely messages of support and stuff like that. the bit that some of it is very funny. The anti-vax people, I found a thread, just because I'm bored, I found a thread on Reddit where they were debating, is it him getting his just desserts now that he's got turbo cancer? Have you heard about turbo cancer?
No.
Comes from the vaccine. Is he getting his just desserts now because he was one of the people advocating for vaccines? And some people were saying, yeah, it's totally fair. Yeah, you should have. Other people saying, well, it's a little bit harsh. It's like, so I find that hilarious. So apparently I've got the turbo cancer.
Turbo cancer? Well, that sounds really dramatic.
It sounds like quite cool. Turbo cancer. Nice.
Hey, so we're recording this a few days before your next birthday. You've got a birthday next week?
No.
Bloody Wikipedia.
No. No, I don't believe anything. July.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
yeah.
I fucked that one up completely.
Yeah. I'll take it. I have a birthday.
Well, I guess in light of, I thought it was your birthday next week, but I suppose when you had your last birthday in July, like you were aware of the cancer then.
But it was only fairly recently, so it's only been 4 months that I've been on this particular road.
Right.
So yeah, the early part of the year was just trucking along, working, trucking along, and then you get to a Monday morning and it all just changes.
So it's only been 4 months. So 4 months ago, you got told you've got between 6 months and a year to live. Yeah,
and that was I'd had the thing with the GI person, the gastro person, and so this was the meeting with the surgeon the next day. And to be fair, he was this lovely man. Like he was a really lovely man, and because he said it's incurable, like it's inoperable, we can't take it out. And so, you want to know a number. So we just said, look, just tell us a number. And he went, look, I really don't like doing that because it's hard to put a number on stuff. And my partner, my wife, who's also a psychologist, said, look, we're psychologists, we can handle it. Just give us a number. And then he said this 6 to 12 months. And it's like, I remember, it's like being punched in the brain. I remember thinking, could you give me another number? Like, have you got any other ones?
Is it a negotiable thing?
That's your first offer. Let's push out. But see, since then, it's all changed since then because of now you enter oncology, and that's just this winding path of lots of options. And so actually it's been going pretty well. Like I'm 4 months into chemo. I've had a number of lucky breaks. Like I've got a really good tumor type. It's fast growing, which is good because when it divides, that's when it can kind of get got at. I can take Herceptin, which is a targeted therapy, and I can also do immunotherapy, so the combination of kind of chemo and these two sorts of other drugs are really good for me. So now it's very optimistic. Now I'm looking forward to being here for a long time.
So you're living, not dying?
Yeah, like I just don't, like for the first few days it felt like I was dying, because it was just shock and trauma and all of the rest of that stuff. And I remember the day that we got told that, like, I remember we left the place, and we were standing outside, and I literally had no idea what to do in that moment. I thought, I don't know what to do or where to go. And so, fortunately, a friend was there, and I just thought, okay, make a frickin' decision. And I thought, well, we can't go home. I don't know why, we just couldn't. And so we went to her place, and then we went there and started calling people. It was very, very grim. And
Why couldn't you go home?
I just, in my head, it was like, no, can't do that yet. Like, because the kids were at home, and I thought, I need to get my shit together. Like, we can't be walking in the middle of this. Like, that's so it was just, let's avoid that for a bit. So that night we went to a hotel, and I ate lots of ice cream and cried. And then from the next day it got better, because from the next day we started to see the oncologist, and who's my new favourite guy, like this really smart guy. And then options start opening up and things start improving. So it went from the bleakest of the bleak to actually now it's going forward. And it's been good learning, because I spent a long time telling people how to be resilient. It's like, okay, so let's practice some of those things now.
Yeah, I watched a TED talk on YouTube that you did, and it just one of the key messages in there was it could always be worse.
Yeah, it can. And
how for you?
Well, the 6 to 12 months could be true. That gives me till November. I mean, imagine if you asked an oncologist, how long have I got? And he went, about, I'd say 25, 30 minutes. Like, oh my. No, it can always be worse. And so I think that one of the things I've kind of always believed is that basically life is just a big bus, and you're either going to be a passenger or you're going to drive the bus. And so you have to drive the bus. You have to kind of take charge of the things that are happening to you. And so kind of part of my thinking in those initial days was just like, your job now is to make it easier on the people around you. Like that's something I can do. And that there's a lot of things I can't control, but I can control how I am and how I am with the people around me. And it's a really simple idea, but it's pretty powerful.
Easier said than done, though, because you tend to save your worst behaviour for the people that you love the most, and you'd have every right to be like a fucking pain in the ass at that particular point.
Well, and it's not to say that I don't get kind of mopey and feel a bit sorry for myself during some of the days of the chemo stuff, but I just work really. It's like wallowing is. It's like the world at the moment's in this weird space where everything kind of this is a toxic masculinity, right? And toughing it out is bad, and blah. But actually, sometimes toughing it out and just hardening the fuck up is the most important thing to do. And it's like, if I really care about the people around me, I can try to make their lives easier. And when I do that, when I do this act of generosity towards other people, it makes me feel better. Whenever I behave like an asshole, or I do something that's selfish, or I do something that's unkind, it doesn't. Even in the moment when you feel justified in doing it, it's never made me feel good. The stuff that makes me feel good is when you're being generous and helping the people around you. And so really early on, I just decided that I'm just going to do everything I can to make it easier for the people around me rather than harder. And it's just, it just works. It does make life easier.
Oh, it's common sense. Like if I ever you see the red mist and lose my cool at a stranger or someone I know, I feel bad about it for hours afterwards. Like it just doesn't make you feel good.
No, and even sometimes you feel really justified in doing it because the other person was being a complete dick, but it's just never worked. And the only thing that's ever worked for me is stepping back from that and thinking, okay, what's something kind I can do for this person who's being an asshole right now? Because no one's born an asshole. Well, I think there are a small percentage of people who literally are. Everyone else is just a bit tangled up, and most people are doing things because they're. Even the anti-vax people that are debating whether or not I deserve turbo cancer, those guys, like, they're still, that's coming from a place of, they think this harmful thing was done to the world, and so they're trying to speak out against it. Like, I understand why they're doing it. Some of it I just find a bit hilarious. So, yeah, I think everyone's supposed to feel good about everything all the time, and you're never supposed to just tough it out. Well, actually, sometimes that's the best thing to do. Like, what else are you going to do? Fall on the ground and kind of whimper? And that's I've done that too, but you can't do that all the time. You have to stand up and push on.
And you definitely are. So so the day you found out, you spend the night in the hotel eating the ice cream.
The ice cream and crying
because the kids are at home. You've got 2 kids, 2 sons in their 20s.
So I've got 5 in total. There's a girl and a boy, and then a boy and a girl and a boy. So
Was it like a blended situation?
Yeah, blended situation. So the 2 oldest are mine, and then Natalie and I, we sort of co-parent her 3 kids as well.
What are their ages? Are they a little younger?
But yeah, so they're kind of 18 and 17 and 14.
Right.
So we've got a great lumbering 14-year-old in the house.
So are you rereading your books?
Well, I mean, it helps having been there, right? It's like, and I understand boys, and boys are, the best thing about boys is you say, how was your day? And they go, good. And that's it. We're all done. Like, that's the day wrapped up. Whereas girls, they talk a lot more about stuff. And so when you ask them how their day is, you got to have a chair and like a drink of water, clear the afternoon.
So did you guys? I mean, they're all ages where you can sort of, I suppose, have adult conversations with them.
Yeah.
But is that what you did in the hotel? You discussed how you were going to message it the next day, or?
No, we kind of didn't do it in the morning. Mostly we just sat in the hotel and cried and ate ice cream. And the one thing I do regret is one of the newspaper articles that came out after I put my little video out said that I went to a hotel and ate ice cream and cried. Which I first like, no, there was someone else with me. Like, I didn't.
Seems slightly less pathetic.
I know, it seems a slightly pathetic thing to. What did you do? I went to a hotel by myself, checked in, and just sat there crying in the middle of the room eating ice cream.
If I read that, I'd be like, he was definitely watching the hotel porn. The ice cream's a distraction.
I know. So no, we kind of, the next morning we kind of got our heads around the fact that how we were going to talk to the kids about all this stuff, and it does help that we're both shrinks. So it's like you do have some things to fall back on. It's also irritating because you do have to practice the things you've been preaching, and sometimes those things are quite hard to practice.
Yeah. So September 5:32 p.m. That's when the video went live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you decide to do that now?
It's kind of the drive the bus thing. So actually, I remember you sent me an email a while ago about coming on the podcast, and at that point I was thinking, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do this. It wasn't the right time then. Basically, a couple of journalists have been calling, asking to write something about it, and I thought, yeah, I kind of want to. That I want to be in control of the message and do it in the way that I want it. I don't want to be talking to a print journalist and have to worry about how they write it and how it sounds. So, and that's the great thing about social media now. You can just make a little video.
Control the narrative.
Yeah, and say to people, hey, so this is a thing. And then, but people have been super nice. Like, I wish everyone that got cancer could have all these people saying these super nice things to them, because people are just really, people are just lovely. People are nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's thousands of comments, including I saw one from Sonia Yelich, who's Lord's mum, saying you helped raise her kids.
You know what?
Which is awesome.
I've been talking to lawyers. I need a cut of the Lord thing. I played a role there. I thought that was so awesome. It's like, man, in some small, maybe a large way, I contributed to Lord's.
Yeah. No, I mean, this validation. It's only, it's strangers on the internet, but it still must be incredibly humbling. It says a lot about the impact you've had on society over the last 30 odd years.
Yeah, no, it is really nice, and particularly over the last little bit, it does feel really nice when people say that. But there's always this thing in there that, like, everything I've done has been a part of teams, and so if you're the presenter on telly, they think it's your TV show, and it's like, there's a whole bunch of us made that stuff. So it's like, it's always that. I always feel like saying, that's really nice. I'll let the other people know who are part of making this stuff as well, because it's like everything I've done has been part of a team. It's like everything's a collaborative process.
Yeah. And there's a book that you've recommended called Life Hacks from the Buddha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the post you did after the video post announcing that you had cancer.
Yeah, so Tony Fernando, who's a psychiatrist, wrote the book. It's a really good book. It's I kind of expected it to be sort of the usual self-helpy stuff, but Tony, as well as being a psychiatrist and a really good psychiatrist, he's also a Buddhist monk. And so it's kind of, he takes Buddhism and talks about how you can apply that to your life now. And you don't have to think about Buddhism as a religion. And in fact, the Buddha never really took a position on it. People would say to him, so what happens after you die? And he went, look, don't worry about that. Just focus on now. So you don't. It's not really a religious thing. It's more just it's a philosophy and a series of kind of ideas about how to be that make you kind of suffer less and make it easier to feel kind of happier and content in life. So I've always been a sort of a closet Buddhist. Like I'm a bit Buddhist, not all the way. Like Tony in the book, he talks about how Buddhist monks will, if there's ants, they'll scoop them all up and take them outside. I had a bunch of ants on the bench yesterday. I just fly straight back. You guys just know. So like, I don't do the whole thing. And sometimes it's interesting. We were talking about this the other day. My son said that sometimes he was talking about a project he had to do in class and he didn't like the lecturer, and so he wanted to succeed out of spite. To spite this guy.
Amazing.
And sometimes spite's a good little motivator, like it's not the healthiest, I guess, in some ways, but it's like I've done some things just the thing that motivates me is out of spite, and it's like it's not a very Buddhist thing to do, but it works.
Yeah, use your haters as your motivators. There's something to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. That's probably enough about the cancer for now. We'll get back to that later, but there's so much of the Nigel Latta story to unpack. So, born in Oamaru, 1967.
Yeah.
I heard you say, maybe on another podcast, you described it as, quote, an interesting place to grow up.
It was a shit place to grow up.
Was it? Why?
Oamaru's cool now, but it was a shit place to grow up because it was like, I was kind of growing up in the sort of late 70s and 80s. So I was a teenager in the 80s. I went to this Waitaki Boys, which is like all boys' schools of the 80s, was a toxic and shitty place. Wasn't interested in sports at all. And at Waitaki Boys in the 1980s, if you got a blazer, which is some, a prize from the school for rugby or cricket or something, you went, whoa. If you got an academic blazer, people beat you up because they thought you were gay. Like that was sort of, that was our, in 1980 in Oamaru, the way that we thought you could tell if someone was gay is if they're smart, they're definitely gay, which is like you think it's like, so what? Heterosexual people are stupid, like that was the thing. So I hated Waitaki Boys when I went there, and I just couldn't wait to get out of Oamaru. Now it's cool. Like now I'm saying you should go and visit Oamaru. Now it's really cool. They've got the steampunk stuff going on. There's penguins and nice little cafes and things. But yeah, back in the 80s, I didn't like it at all.
It sounds similar to my school experience. I went to Palmerston Boys High, like mid 80s to 1990. Got called a fag every day.
Yeah, it was just, and it wasn't any particular school. That was just kind of what happened, and no one intervened. And we would practice hakas for these first 15 matches, and the prefect would scream and yell at you. And the weird thing is, I remember them. Like in my memory, they were these fucking huge hulking gorillas screaming at us. And I found an old school magazine and looked back, and they were just skinny little teenage boys. But at the time,
but they're older than you, I suppose, they have a size advantage. But there's nothing more gratifying than being like, well, for me at least, being 18, 19, 20, going out and seeing the guys from the first 15 as adults now, still wearing,
I know,
still wearing their rugby shirt or living on the other glory days of their life.
I know. I always kind of think, like, if high school's amazing, that's not a good sign.
If you don't want to peak at high school.
Yeah.
So what were you like as a kid? I read you bought yourself a typewriter at the age of 13. So you must have had a creative side.
Yeah, like I wanted to write books. That was the life plan for me was writing novels. That's what I wanted to do at that point. So yeah, I was just I was always kind of, I was the only seventh former not made a prefect at the school. Like they were 3rd year 6 were becoming prefects, and that was a smart move. Like, because I would have been a disaster because I was just all anti-establishment. I remember the Governor General came to a school prize giving to give it, and I won a prize for English, and so I went to a bookshop and got Karl Marx, The First 100 Years, because I don't know, in my sort of schoolboy, that'll put the wind up the Governor General, all this Marxist stuff. He just gave it to me and shook my hand. I've still got it. Never read it. It was a stupid book. I should have got an asterisk on it.
Why? Were you just like an angry, angsty teen, or what?
No,
what was it?
it's like I just didn't like bollocks, and I just thought this is all bollocks. Like I got a detention once because I wouldn't sing "God Save the Queen" in the assembly, and I was such a snot. And I remember Mr. Kissel, who was a lovely man. He said, why won't you sing, well, you're not singing God Save the Queen Latta? And I went, well, no, because like she lives in a palace and she's got like servant stuff. We should sing God Save the Starving Little African Kids. I didn't care about the starving little African kids. I was just being a dick. So,
Why were you being so defiant?
It just, I don't know, it just seemed like much more interesting to me than, oh, that's my little beeper to tell me to take stuff, but I've already taken it, so I'll dismiss that. I just kind of like the idea of poking a stick into all that stuff and not taking it too seriously.
Just questioning authority.
Yeah, I just thought, well, why? Why am I singing God Save the Queen? Because I never met her. I'm sure she's fine, but she seems okay. Like, I don't think she needs us to sing.
What was that beeper? What do you need to take?
Oh, see, now my life is so different that I have to have an app to tell me which pills to take when, because my day is a series of pills I take. So there's the chemo drugs and there's nausea stuff and there's heart stuff, because I also discovered I've got a dicky heart. It's like, come on, because they start looking at everything. So I take heart stuff now.
So every 3 hours, 4 hours? What do you mean?
It's about every 3 hours. There's a big pile in the morning first thing, and then there's another lot about 10 o'clock, and then there's another lot sort of 11:30, 12, and then there's more at 3, and then more at. And it's mostly just about keeping the nausea under control, because chemo gives you nausea. Because it's basically, chemo is taking a blunt, like it's just a cheese grater to all the fast dividing cells in your body. So you get all these weird symptoms. But again, I'm lucky because I don't get as many symptoms as a lot of other people, and I don't have them as extreme. So it's fine.
You're so positive about things.
Well,
I mean, I suppose it's a choice, isn't it? I suppose you have to be, but it'd be understandable and easy to have a bit of self-pity. Yeah,
and I do have that. Like there are definitely times, like there are days when I've got like at the moment about another 11 weeks of chemo to go, and there are days when you just lie there and just go, oh man, this sucks. But I just I always think it'll be fine, and if it's not, deal with it when you get there. And so how I kind of reframe all the symptom stuff is like, it's good. It's interesting. A special forces guy. I watched a video years ago about a special forces guy saying, if you want to improve your resilience, you can do that with one word. Whatever happens, you just say good. So you're feeling sick, good. That means it's working. You're feeling really ground down and done, good. That means it's really working. It doesn't work all the time, but I try and practice that a lot because it's just better, easier.
Shit, we've only been going 20 minutes. There's already been so many good takeaways. You just dispense advice without even knowing it.
Well, the thing is, where I've been lucky is that I've got to spend basically my entire life reading about stuff that helps people, being kind of knee deep at helping people for 20-something years, doing all these telly shows where you go out and you've got researchers that find super interesting people for you to talk to. And so really, all I've needed to do is just be awake and pay attention to stuff that's happening around me. You just pick up these kind of useful things. And most of the good stuff people thought generations ago, like thousands of years ago. All the good thinking has been done. There's no new thinking. There's just the old stuff repackaged.
So after the Waitaki experience, you go to university, get a zoology and marine science degree.
Yes.
Why?
So university. I went to university when it was free. I think we paid $300 in student fees, and we bitched about that. It's like, oh, why am I paying $300? I didn't go to uni. And so I ranged through a whole bunch of careers at university, and I originally thought I was going to be a philosopher, because that was the least Oamaru thing I thought you could study. But then I went to a philosophy lecture, and they said, should you eat the bread or the plate? And I went, this is just stupid. Like, I know the answer to that. I need to go to university to find that. Only later I discovered that actually philosophy is super interesting. But I was going to do the only science subject you could do at stage 2 without chemistry was I think zoology at that point, and geology and some of those things. And basically I had cheated through my entire sixth form year and copied Don Clark's assignments in chemistry and got accredited in chemistry. I understood nothing about it at all. I still don't to this day. Chemistry is a complete mystery to me. So I wanted to ditch that. And I'd watched Jacques Cousteau as a kid. And I thought, I'll be a marine biologist. That sounds pretty awesome. So yeah, I peeled off and did zoology, and then with this idea of doing marine science after that, I wanted to go to the Antarctic to do a research project, but because I was such an idiot, I left it way too late. So by the time I talked to them, it was already too late. So I did zoo and marine science. I got within 2 weeks of joining the police back then, because that was something I was kind of super interested in doing. And then changed tack and came up to Auckland and did psychology up here.
When was the music career? Was that in between those two? The Gavin Thornton steam-injected band?
Yeah, we were a thing.
What was that?
Well,
were you a ukulele player? No.
I played ukulele and a bit of harmonica and kazoo and stuff like that. we knew this guy Stuart, who actually really was talented, and he played in proper bands. And we just thought it'd be fun to go busking. We thought we could raise some money for beer, basically. And so we set this little skiffle band up with a teacher's bass and ukuleles and washboards and all that kind of stuff. And we went away for a weekend to Twizel, and I think our first gig in the Twizel Mall, we got drunk first. That was a bad idea because we couldn't do anything, so we made 20 cents. The next day we thought, okay, let's do it not being drunk and see how that goes. And we made enough, I think, to buy 2.5 jugs of beer or something. So we thought, oh, this is quite good. So we just did that for a fun thing for the year. And that was my musical career in Gavin Thornton's.
So how old were you when you went back to study and to do psychology? God, that must be having never been to university myself. Like you do these years, you get a degree. Does it feel like a waste of time?
No, because even the zoology and marine science stuff, like at the time I thought, oh, I did all that stuff and I'll never use it. And then I had kids, and it's like I could go to the beach and say wise things about the various little creatures skimming about in the water and stuff. No, but it was very different back then because it was free, and so this is where kids now have it so much harder. Like they have to, every year costs them a fortune, and so they have to really think about what's the subject I'm doing. And I don't know how you can know that before you do it. Like I chopped and changed all over the place, and then then we decided that all the people that got free education decided that it just simply wasn't right for people to get free education, so they bought them fees, and now kids come out with these massive debts and end up doing courses they don't like and a whole bunch of things.
But what was the motivation for psychology? What was the catalyst to go back and study that?
I quite liked, I like the idea of working with people, and I've always been my sort of approach to things is that, that whole thing about if there's two paths diverged in the wood, like if I came to a wood and there was two paths and there was a dude there, and the dude said, look, definitely go this way. It's flat, it's paved, there's good lighting, there's a little cafe up there and comfy seats. Don't go down there. There's some fucked up shit down there. I would totally, I'm going that way straight away. Like, I just thought the world's an interesting place, and I wanted to kind of see more of that. And I was interested in like why people do bad things, and what are people who do bad things like. And so the psychology stuff, that interested me. I just kind of did it because I thought, I'm gonna learn some interesting things if I do that, which I did.
Yeah, you did. We'll get into the TV stuff, but beyond the Darklands, one of my favourite TV shows of the last 20 years. Never missed an episode. Fascinating.
And the weird thing is, I had more information about the guys that we profiled on that show than I did in any psychology report that I ever wrote, because we would have producers who would spend 6 or 8 months going around and gathering all this information up about people. So it was the scuffing sound is the wee dog.
Yeah.
Kanye's
trying to dig a hole in the carpet.
Digging a hole. He doesn't realise we're in an apartment, and this is going to make life super difficult. Beyond the Darklands was and it's interesting. Like when we started to, when Philly Isles from Screen Time first kind of met with me about the show, I sort of had some conditions. I kind of said, well, we're not going to make an episode about any of these offenders unless we've got the victims' families' permission to do it. Like, we'll go to them directly and ask them, and we're not going to do any recreations, and we're not going to have blood and stuff like that. And Philly's, a marvellous and ethical person and was totally on board with that. So we kind of stuck to that. Like, we would always get the permission of victims' families before we made an episode. And so there was some we just didn't do. Like, Mark Lundy was going to be the first season, but his family had got burned by the media and weren't interested. And so I think in season 4, we kind of went back to them and said, okay, so now you see what we do. And for me, I was making those things for the parole board of a lot of these guys, so they would have that information in front of them. And so second time around they were okay with us doing it because they kind of knew how we did things. I mean, it's people's families and stuff, and so it's not just entertainment. And another of my conditions was we're never going to sell it as a DVD set in Whitcoulls. Like, it won't be for sale because that's
just too crass or insensitive.
It's just crass. It's like if my kid had been murdered and then it's this thing gets made and they're selling it in Whitcoulls, you know, it's just that just seemed wrong. So yeah, to Philly's great, and just all that stuff was fine.
Yeah. Do you still follow bleak stuff now? Like at the time we're recording this, the jury's out on the Polkinghorne trial. Do you,
oh yeah.
You follow that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We follow that. So Natalie, my partner, she's done a lot of adult mental health stuff and has worked in did some time in Broadmoor in the UK as well, where, you know, she talked to people who cut people's heads off and bury them in the backyard and stuff. Some of that sort of carry on. And so, yeah, no, we follow the Polkinghorne stuff because it's interesting. I don't follow the news. I try not to follow the news generally because it's just generally depressing and irritating. But some of that stuff, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, is there part of you that is, you know, thinks, shit, I'd love to do a show about this or a documentary about this?
No, because, like, I'm really glad the Darklands is done because it was just because you're making it about individual people and individual families, there's always that kind of pressure there that you don't want to make something that's going to make people feel kind of exploited or that kind of isn't okay. So I was glad to go back from I'm glad we did that stuff. I think we did some good stuff in there, but it was good that it ended when it did.
Yeah, so in your early years as a psychologist, who were your clients?
So my I did a lot of child and family stuff for most of my career, really, and that was because, again, like I thought rather than let someone choose, you had to get placements and internships. Rather than let someone choose that for me, I'm going to go and find my own. And so I very cynically joined victim support before I applied for the diploma, so I had some stuff under my belt. As part of that, a guy came along from a stopping violence program and talked about this 10-week program. And so when I got into the diploma and I was looking for a master's project, I went to see him, but he was on the phone, and the guy that ran the sex offender treatment program wasn't, and we started chatting. And even though this one was 10 weeks, this one was like 2 years long, it just sounded far more interesting. And so I immediately kind of peeled off into that, and then through that met a lot of really clever people and ended up working in the child and family area because it's just interesting, and teenagers are great. Like, if adults are super polite, but teenagers will tell you to go fuck yourself. Like, you walk in. I once walked into this girl. I was to assess this girl. She was like 11 and she'd 12 or something, and she tried to take like an old lady and her car, so she wanted the set of those two things. And I walked into the room and she looked at me and she said, "Fuck, man, I'm not fucking talking to you. You're the fucking ugliest man in the whole fucking world." And I liked her straight away. Like, I thought, you are like a great deal. And then, so I just said to her, you know what's interesting? I used to be a stunningly handsome man, but it wasn't working. So I went to a mate of mine who's a plastic surgeon. I said, can you fuck me up just a little bit? Well, she did. And she laughed, which made her really annoyed. And then we just did that for the rest of the time. And I like kids like that. Like, I like working with kind of families and kids where they're just super upfront and they'll tell you stuff. And also there's just such a ton of hope because, you know, they're just kids.
Were you polarizing? Like, did some of your peers sort of frown upon you? Like,
yeah, I think
because you're quite unorthodox, eh? And
yeah, and I've had a tenuous relationship with my professional body, because I think there's lots of really great psychologists doing amazing stuff, but I think we're way too careful as a profession, and I think that we're a bit we turn on ourselves a little bit too much, and so. You know, I know there were psychologists that didn't think that what I was doing was a good thing, but my thing is always, if you're doing something and you feel like you can't or shouldn't talk about it to other professionals, then it's wrong. And so I've always been really open about kind of the stuff I did, and also I was always working in teams of people, so it was never just me doing stuff. You're working in this collaborative team, we're all making decisions together. But yeah, like, I know there are some psychologists that don't I don't give a I don't care. Like, I literally don't give a shit.
I get the feeling you don't.
I don't.
No, because that TED Talk I was talking about that's on YouTube, you tell a story in there about a kid that's doing play therapy or sand therapy, or whatever it's called. And you basically get through to him by teaching him how to trick the psychologist.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, a lot of your peers would be like, oh, that's not the correct way to do it. But it's effective.
It is, and a lot of them would. Like, there are lots of really good psychologists doing really good work. I just think we're too worried about what other psychologists will think of the stuff that we do. And so there's lots of people doing really creative and good stuff. I mean, my thing was always, my obligation is not your sensibilities. My obligation is here's this kid in the room, and my job is to find out what's going on. And so I'll do whatever I need to do within the realms of what's, ethical and responsible, to help this kid to talk about stuff. And I don't care if some uptight... I once offered to do a talk at the psych conference, and I was going to call it Why We Need to Pucker Less and Fart More. But they said they wouldn't let me do it unless I changed the title. I said, well, I'm not changing the title, so I didn't do it. But I do think it's that. It's like, everyone's just far too freaking careful and worried about stuff. Everyone's worried about getting cancelled. From what I can see, cancel just means people say mean shit about you on the internet. Well, who gives a fuck? Like, it's like, cancel me. I'm fine with that. It just mean you go, oh, typity.
typity. It's so true.
Yeah.
So from kids, you move on to like just the worst of the worst, like violent offenders, sex offenders, murderers. When you're working with terrible people like that, like what sort of impact does it have on your mental health? Like how do you switch off outside of work?
See, the other thing is most of them weren't terrible people. Like, your job when you're doing that stuff is you have to find a way to connect and build a relationship with this other person, because you're saying to this other human being, hey, don't do those bad things anymore. Like, try these other things instead. No one is going to listen to that or think about that if you're an asshole, or if you're angry at them, or you're haranguing them or making them feel bad. You've got to find a way to connect with the actual kind of person inside of all of that. And so there's their behaviours, and then there's the person. There are I can't think of a single offender that I work with that I didn't find something to like about, because they're just people. And we kind of have this idea that they're vastly different to us. No, they're not. They're us. They're just us, It's just most of us are lucky in that our sexual fantasies aren't about things that are illegal, or if they are about things that are illegal, we don't actually do them. Some people get caught up in all kinds of things. And, our prisons aren't full of people who are innately bad. They're full of people who have alcohol and drug habits, who grew up in poverty, who didn't get kind of enough education, who grew up in trauma and all that kind of stuff. And all the, people go, oh, it's all woke apologist nonsense. It's like bollocks. You go into these places and sit down with someone, ask them about their life story, and then tell me that you think that they're just innately a bad person. If you grow up being beaten and abused and hungry and cold and scared, you're not going to think the world's a lovely place and I should be nice to other people. You're going to think the world doesn't give a shit about me, so why should I give a shit about other people? So you have to find stuff to kind of connect and like about those people. And it's a really good life skill, because not many of us have to do that. We often, we meet a whole bunch of people, and you don't always have to find things to like, but it always works better if you do.
Shit, you're a good bastard, aren't you? Like, I mean, you could easily, you are, because you could. I got some friends that are like ex-cops, and a lot of them ended up like quite cynical. Like, they have an ability to see the worst in almost everyone, but it seems like you've got this ability to, I don't know, maybe it's a compassion streak or something, to see that there is a little bit of good in everyone.
Well, I think I'm a pragmatist, and so I want to do whatever works. I'm fundamentally kind of lazy and a pragmatist, and so I don't want to have to do shit if there's no point in doing it. Like, I want the fastest route to something happening, and it is through this. I think I totally get why cops get like that. Like, I think if I'd spent my career in the police, I'm pretty sure I would have been like that too, because their job is to basically catch people and lock them up. Like, they're not doing therapy. Their job isn't to connect with people. Although, you read people like Chuck Hemwood's book that's just,
Unmasking Monsters.
And Chuck Hemwood's a really smart guy, and it's a fantastic book. Like, if you want a really good book to show you what criminal profiling is like in the real world, it's like you will not regret. I read the whole thing in like one go. It was fantastic.
I had him. He was in that chair like a couple of months ago, and he sort of echoed what you were saying about there's a bit of good in everyone, but he said the exception to that rule in his experience was Malcolm Rewa.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people, you look at them and for whatever reason, there's just cold, dead eyes. And you know, you can come up with whatever theories you want from that, but it's the smart thing is to take people like that and just put them in a place where they can't get out and be with other people, because if they are, they'll hurt them. So I absolutely think there are people like that. But you know, even people like Chuck, one of the things I like about his book, and he did have compassion, and he did have that ability to kind of reach out and deal with people. And you look at the best cops aren't macho, arrogant, pushing people around. They're like calming everything down, treating people with respect, that stuff gets you a long way.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, there's a quote from Michelle Obama that I love. I use it all the time. I've learned it's harder to hate up close. Sounds like you'd agree with that.
Yeah. It's like every time, this is the thing about the internet, right? Everyone goes, and I don't know why anyone goes on Facebook to engage in a conversation, because it's like, I think this politically, oh, you're a dick. No, you're a dick. And it just goes backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. No one ever changes their mind on the internet about any of that kind of stuff. But when you get two people together, they do. We did this, I don't think we ever, it was for a show, but we didn't put this bit in. We got people from the furthest ends of the political continuum that we could get. And we interviewed them first about their views about other people in the world and stuff, and then we brought them together to make a pizza. Like, it was just schmaltzy tally stuff. But I remember this one guy, like, he was on the dole, had been for 3 years, and this other person was really high up in the ACT party, and they both talked about unemployed people, and then we brought them together to make a pizza, and we did, so you think this about them, and you think this about them, why don't you have a chat about that? And you can't be, it's just much harder to be mean to people in the same room. And so what happens is we discover that actually people do have far more in common than not. It's like we spent 10 days in Parliament a couple of years ago doing a doco about basically what a politicians do all day. You know, they work really hard, and we sat in select committees, and it's boring, it never makes the tally, but it was all of them working together to try to do sensible things. So I think, you know, most people, their intentions are good. It doesn't mean that the stuff they do is always good, but their intentions are usually good.
Yes, speaking of like internet trolls and stuff, you used to be active on Twitter, and then you
Stopped.
So you stopped.
This is so stupid.
Why? Why did you? What was the?
I suddenly realised I'd never go on Twitter and feel anything but angry, you know? And it's like,
And also debating with strangers, people that you never.
yeah, and I got into this weird thing with Simon Bridges.
Oh yeah, what was that? There was some beef there, eh?
It was a weird thing.
He called you a lefty or something. Or?
Yeah, well, he said, the government's done nothing about housing. And I just tweeted him back, because people do. I said, well, dude, like, you had 9 years, you know, they didn't just, it wasn't perfect. And then he came back with something, and I came back with something, and that went on for like 2 days. And then Natalie said, what are you doing? I mean, what do you mean? She said, you're just angry, yelly guy on Twitter with Simon Bridges. And I was like, oh yeah, like, how did that happen? So I did used to do a thing though, where, because I quite like when people kind of troll you a little bit, and there was this one dude who said, why is Nigel Latta such a big star? And so I was staying in Dunedin at my mum's place, and I spent 45 minutes trying to explain how a star is formed in 160 characters. So I said, you know, swirling dust, circles gravity, and then the whole thing ignites, and that's how it becomes a star. And he went back, oh, you're a dick. And then I was just going back being relentlessly good-humoured and nice to him, and eventually he just said, look, can you just stop now? Can you just leave me alone? Oh, I'm sorry. It was my good humour getting in the way of your trolling. And then, again at my mum's place, I made up an account called Nigel Trolling Nigel, where I think I only did it once, but I trolled myself. And, oh, you're a dick. Oh, no. And because then I could win the argument. But it was too hard to log out and log back in, so I gave that up.
Oh my god, that seems so time intensive. When did you become a big star? When was the moment that you thought, oh, I'm kind of famous now?
Well,
did it start with a book deal, or was it a TV show?
No, I was kind of probably after I think the parenting show was probably when the political that when we got some quite big audiences for back in the day for that. And it was a very strange thing, because I'm from Oamaru, and so I didn't know anyone in the media or tally or anything like that. So that whole world is pretty weird, and it just kind of gradually happens, and then it's like you suddenly, it's like, oh, like I'm part of this kind of world of people. But, to be fair, it's TV in New Zealand, right? And I remember going to, it was some TV awards thing before I stopped going, because I missed the good ones back in the 90s. They were awesome. Apart from all the accounts, it was fighting and drugs and scandal. Now it's just everyone being nice to each other. But there were all these sort of tally people. Some of the networky people were sort of getting their photos in front of the thing and I just remember thinking, settle down. Like, if you're on telly and people know you in New Zealand, it's like being in a community newspaper in Sydney. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're not.
You're big fish in a very small pond.
Yeah, you are. And it's like, and it's not taking anything away from it, but it's like it's that part of the whole thing is meaningless and frivolous and silly. What it does, though, is that it gets you access to people and it gives you more influence. And so, for a time when I was doing tele stuff and clinical stuff, it worked really well, because a social worker could say the same thing to family for ages, and then they just wouldn't listen. They go, do you want to see that guy from the tele? He'd come and see you. Oh, yeah. So I would come and see them, say the same things as a social worker, and then they would just start to listen and do those things. And it's just because of the...
Star power.
Yeah, it's just because of the thing. He's on the telly. He must know what he's talking about. No.
That's awesome. But speaking of those TV awards, that must be like gratifying, knowing that you're there because you've done some like good work that adds values to people's life, rather than just sitting there reading an auto cue with the day's current affairs on.
Yeah, well, what I liked about doco making is it's kind of like... you get to work with a team of people, and I always work with like just great people, and like some of the best years in telly that I had. It was a couple of years where it was just it was my friend Mitchell and Bevan and Gabe, and the four of us would just tootle around the place making telly, and then you meet all these talented guys, dominant, all these people who are really super talented, and you get to go around and do that. And what I like is I do like that collaborative process, and I've never liked the idea of anyone being special in any way, and so I never bought into that you're the presenter so you get the best stuff thing. I think that's bullshit. I think if you're the presenter, you know the least amount and you've got the least amount of expertise of anyone here. DOPs, soundies, directors, they all have to know and do a whole bunch of stuff. I just have to make words come out on my face. Like, that's literally all I have to do. And so we always had teams where we like everyone would weigh in on ideas, and no idea was sacred, and we started from the position that the blank page, you fill the blank page with something ugly and stupid, and then we're all just going to kick it and kick it and kick it until it becomes kind of better. And I like that process. So my first job always when I'm working with new people is just to convince them, I don't do any of that presenter stuff, like please don't do that. Gabe though was an ass. I worked with Gabe, and Gabe what he would do, because he knew that I hated that, and so if we were with someone, I'd be doing this, right, the chat before the interview, and Gabe would come to mic me up with my little microphone and stuff. What he would do is he would kneel down in front of me and keep his eyes down like that. So, excuse me, Mr. Latta, I know you don't like me interrupting when you're talking to people. I do apologise for that, but would it be all right if I was to mic you up? And I know that I don't want to make you cross or anything. I'm saying, Gabe, don't freaking do that, because they don't. And once we were filming in a park, and it had been raining, so we had an easy up on the centre of the park, and we'd wrap for the day. And there were all these houses around, so kids were watching us because there were lights and stuff out there. And I was walking out to the car thinking, oh, that's weird. Like, why is it not raining on me? And it is raining on everyone else. Gabe was following me through the park with an umbrella over me, him in the pouring rain, making me look like a total wanker.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah. That's like peak celebrity status, having an umbrella holder.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you won any TV awards or not, but I'm assuming you would have.
No, I lost every time. Jeremy
Wells? Corbett?
No, Corbett. Chemo brain.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it really is a thing. Like, I'm just like half the time I can't remember anything at all at the moment. I've been at a couple, and they so one of it is Jeremy Corbett, with Jeremy Corbett one. So I thought, right, you're my nemesis from now on. And it's a nice nemesis. A comedian is a nemesis. That's a good nemesis to have. And then there was one a couple of years ago, I think, where I went, and for some reason I was in the same category as Sam Neill. And Sam Neill was about 5 people back in the line to kind of get in. And I thought, well, I'll just be friendly. I'll just go up and, And so I went up to Sam Neill, And I thought, he's in the same category, surely he must know. And I said, look, mate, if I get up there and I win, I'm going to shit talk you. I'm going to shit talk your work. I'm going to shit talk your show. I'm just warning you. And he sort of looked at me and he went, sorry, who are you?
Oh my God.
Weird, like, well, okay, I'm just going to.
Wow. Oh, what an amazing story. Amazing story.
Yeah.
Okay, so no TV awards, but the Queen's birthday honours, was that special? That must have been gratifying, humbling.
Yeah, it was, but it's very strange to get things like that.
What have you got?
An ONZM.
What does that mean?
An officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit,
Right.
I think that's what it means. Yeah, like it was strange. It was nice because I got to go to government. I mean, the nice thing about it is I got to go to government house with my mum, and with my kids because they were a lot younger then, and so that was all kind of nice. And met the Governor General and the carpets. Have you ever been to Government House? Carpets are awesome.
Are they? Why?
Everyone was going, man, these carpets are awesome. You just wanted to take your shoes off and just run around your socks. Like they were these really soft, deep carpets. That's the thing I remember the most. It's like, where do you get your carpets from? These are great. But that's...
Did you take your shoes off? No.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so you recently got married, eh? So your wife, Natalie Flynn.
Yeah, about 7 months ago. So our anniversary is November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So second marriage, your first one was really long, like almost 30 years?
Yeah, almost 29 years, yeah.
Yeah. How's that? Is that are you guys on okay terms?
It was a complicated separation, let's just say that.
Okay.
So my hope of how that played out wasn't how it played out, which is, that's just how things are. But now I'm with this amazing person and just super happy. I think I kind of said it on the video, but I think it's true. It's like I think if you're really lucky in life, you meet like your person, and like and you have the sense that of all of the people in the world, like you're the person, and so she kind of is that for me, and so it's been that's been really lovely.
Yeah, there's a line in that video where you talk about Natalie, and I don't know how many minutes in it was, but it made me start crying. Just the line was, I think she makes me feel safe.
Yeah, she
beautiful,
does.
Beautiful line.
She makes me feel safe, and particularly over the last 4 months, it's been like it's really nice to have someone that you can lean on like that, and and she is like she comes from a family of super smart people. Her father was Jim Flynn, who was this world-renowned economist. Her brother's an Oxford maths professor. Basically, in that house, I'm like a chimpanzee. Like, there's everyone else in the house, and then there's the chimpanzee. And then I can fix laptops and plug things in, but that's pretty much it. But she's what I really love about her is that she doesn't judge, and she's absolutely kind of fearless. Like, most people are a bit judgy about some things, but she's a bit like me. She's worked with all kinds of people in all kinds of places, and so just doesn't do that. And she's like compassionate to the point that you feel it's saying, no, you don't have, like she was really worried about Reagan after the Olympics, about how she was doing, which is, but like really worried about it. And I keep saying, we got enough to worry about. I'm sure Reagan will be fine. But no, it is really lovely having kind of found something like that. So now that's the motivation for me. It's like there's nothing I want to do or know where that I want to go. I just kind of want to be with her, and we want to get old, and we'll go to an old age home and complain about the people around us. That's
those Ryman homes look so good, don't they?
I know. Yeah,
looks like a Contiki for senior citizens.
I know.
How did you guys meet? You were working on an app, the Parentland app?
Yeah. So we'd known each other for a while.
Through work.
Yeah, and so I kind of initially met her because she wrote this book called Smart Mothering, which is a really evidence-based look at about babies and what they need. She loves babies, loves the babies. Like when we walk past someone with a baby, I have to hold her hand really tight because I say it's not your baby. You can't. And once we were at Wellington Airport, and there was this mum who had these 2 little twin babies on a rug, and Natalie was going up and chatting to her, and I could see the mum was getting a little bit anxious because you could see Natalie was thinking, I'm going to take one of them, gonna maybe the closest one, I'm going to get that one. So we'd sort of I'd met because her publisher asked me to read the book because I hadn't met her before then, and so I did. I thought it was an amazing book full of really good stuff. And then we met, and I thought, oh, you're like real smart and funny. I need to get you working on the app. And so that's kind of how we initially met.
What's it like when two psychologists have an argument?
Well, we don't actually argue.
No?
No, like most of the time we don't. But if we do, it's like other people. We just use words and say things sometimes that, you don't necessarily mean. But we don't kind of have arguments. Like sometimes we have this stuff that happens and we talk about it, but it's not like I can't imagine having an argument with
okay, like a robust discussion rather than...
it's like,
yeah. I validate your feelings.
Yeah. Well, neither of us. If any one of us said that, the other one, I think we'd have them just taken away and seen to.
In that video on Instagram, you mentioned that you've been through some trauma. You say this is the biggest trauma, but there has been others. Anything you want to share? Or?
Oh, well, it was the stuff I talked about in the TED Talk, like when I was, a 14-year-old doing CPR on a dead guy. That was pretty grim.
Yeah, what were the circumstances of that? Like an old elderly guy with false teeth.
Yeah, so I was a little St John cadet back in Oamaru, and another thing that you get, I get anyway, was chemo runny nose. There you are, a little bit of information there. I was a little St John cadet, and I was at this bloke's place who was an ambulance officer in Oamaru, and he got this call, and it was just around the corner, so I kind of went and ended up doing CPR on the dead guy, and it turns out it's not like the resuscitation dummy where it's all clean and rubbery. It's rubbery, and if you make the beginner's mistake, which I did of taking out the false teeth, mouth loses all structure. It's just this big sort of blubbery vomit-covered hole, and you're blowing and it's wheezing and gurgling and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely had some sort of stuff from that. But one of the things, like people talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, which we all know about, which is kind of, that's the bad side of trauma, but you can have post-traumatic growth. Like for most people, for the majority of people, you go through something traumatic and you get stronger as a result of it. And so for me, that was super useful because that was my yardstick about, is this bad? It's like, well, it's an old dead guy vomiting in your mouth. That's worse than this, So most things actually seemed easy in comparison. And the other things are just weird things. Like I remember when we did the Beyond the Darklands thing, part of it is you sometimes see some of the evidence books and things. And when we were doing the Michael Choi episode, who was killed by all those kids, Bailey, BJ Kuruki, and a bunch of other kids.
Yeah, Michael Choi, pizza delivery guy.
Yeah. I remember this. I still remember this photo in the evidence book of this in the kitchen. And it was just a rubbish bin with a pizza box and some drink bottles in it, and that was the stuff they'd taken from the guy. And I just remember sitting there looking at it thinking, like, they killed him for basically pizza and frickin' change. And so that kind of image has always stayed with me. And some of the conversations that I had with family about what it was like for them losing people, that kind of stuff too. But mostly what happens is you have to decide early on, you have to be able to kind of put that stuff down, and if you can't, then you can't do that. And so, I'm really good at being, when I'm in something, I can be in it, and I can just put it down and go home.
How can any one of us be more resilient? Like, there's a great joke at the beginning of that video where you talk about trigger warnings, something that only bomb disposal.
Right.
It's a great line, but it does feel like everything has a trigger warning now.
It's like, when did we all become so fragile and useless that we can't talk about things? I was at a Stopping Violence conference, right? It's a family violence conference about family violence, and one of the people got up and said, just a trigger warning, I'm going to talk about violence, and that may be triggering for people and upsetting. And I was sitting there thinking, it's a fucking family violence conference. Like, I got up and mine, I said, I'm not giving you a trigger warning. If you are at this conference and you're triggered by the fact that we're talking about family violence, you're either stupid because you hadn't worked out that's what family violence is, or you're messed up and you need to go and talk to someone. Like, that's how mad the world has got. I don't give trigger warnings for anything because I have the belief that we can talk about things, and actually sometimes you get upset, and that's okay. So part of it, I think, is not buying into all of that nonsense. But I think a large part of resilience is, I think there are some really simple ideas. It's about, it is about being intentional and driving the bus. Like we all get to choose our response. And so things happen to us and they can be upsetting and traumatic and bad. But even in the depths of that, you still get to choose how you respond to those things. And that's not just some wowzery sort of idea. People like Viktor Frankl, the Jewish psychiatrist who survived 4 camps during the war, he talked about the last fundamental human freedom is to choose our response in any given situation. You get to choose that. Then it's about, the old Stoic idea about, for me anyway, my single biggest stress management go-to is just focus on the things that you can control. It's a really simple idea, but it really works. And so I could get lost in all of the cancer stuff, but I can't control any of that. What I can control is, am I sleeping? What stuff am I eating? Do I meditate? Am I doing a little bit of exercise? Like, where is my mind at? These are things that I can control. And so it's easy to become swamped with things, but if you think, okay, what can I control right now? Maybe all you can control is how you're sitting and how you're breathing. That day standing outside of the surgeon's office when I just felt completely lost, I thought, okay, well, I can make a decision. Like that's something I can make a decision about where I'm going to go to now. And then for me, the last thing is like it's always about team. It's about building up the people around you. It's about seeing that your job is to make the peoples around you to make their lives kind of better in some way. And it's that idea of kind of building people up is the stuff that's useful, because that's when you need people. Like we've got a really great group of friends, and they've been super kind and super helpful. And so it's the team around you that matters. So I think there are some simple things that people can do, and it doesn't make it any easier. Like things are hard. There's no magical, if you do these 3 amazing things, everything will be easy and simple, because it won't. It's just that it can be harder. It can be less hard. And so doing some of those things, I think, makes it easy to kind of chug through. Yeah.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. So many good takeaways there. And by the way, Frankl, who you mentioned, Man's Search for Meaning is one of my favourite books of all time.
Book. Yeah.
I keep buying a copy and then I'll give it to someone else and have to replace it.
One of those books, right?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Brilliant. So you want to talk about the cancer for a bit?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's been a running thread through this. So so you're feeling unwell for how long? Like a sore throat, right?
No, so about four or 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, maybe a bit more. I would eat stuff and feel full really quickly, and almost sort of get like a painful sort of pushy feeling at the back of my throat. At the time, and I started to lose a bit of weight. Now at the time, I thought, it's a peptic ulcer. So I thought I was on a peptic ulcer diet. And I was, this is great, because I lost about 6 kgs and thinking, this is awesome. Like, I want to get this fixed, but I'm just going to wait to lose a little bit more.
I'm almost at the goal weight.
Yeah, it's like, it's my new fad diet. It's like, it turns out I was on the gastric cancer diet, which is not as good as the peptic ulcer diet, by a long shot. I thought, I can't really face it. If you want to lose weight and eat lots of chocolate and drink fizzy drinks, go on the gastric cancer diet. You may die, but you're definitely going to lose weight. So now I have those kind of symptoms, and I did kind of think, my tendency is to put most things off, but I just thought, this feels like something. So I went to my GP, he's a great GP, sent me to the gastro person, and then off it rolled from there.
And then, so when do you? So you have the night in the hotel. You phone. Who did you phone, by the way? Who did you phone that night?
This is one thing I wanted to say. One of the first people that I phoned was our insurance guy. One of the things I've learned from this is that, and I'm telling this to everyone, and I'm really glad I remember this. Insurance. And I know that for a lot of people, insurance is a luxury and they can't get it. But for some people, you could get it, but they don't. You need life insurance, and you need to look at how your life insurance is structured, because there's money you get when you die, but also you can get payments for if you're permanently disabled or if you get a terrible diagnosis. You need health insurance, and you need income protection. The health insurance stuff, there's no place, I think, in our health system where that inequity is more clear than in oncology, because the difference between living and dying in oncology is money. And if you have money, then you can get the drugs that a lot of people can't get. And
Oh,
so,
because it gives you the options.
yeah. And now the one thing I wish I'd done differently is that in my health, I have health insurance, which has been just a godsend. But what I didn't do is take the extra cancer cover, because you don't. Because most people don't know anything about oncology. They don't think about the fact that 1 in 3 people are going to get cancer. They don't know which drugs are funded and non-funded. It's only after you get it you go, oh. So I wish I'd ticked the extra cancer cover up to 300,000 box. If I'd ticked that, that would have been great.
Is there a box below that for turbo cancer? Not yet.
There will be soon, though.
Yeah, so you get the diagnosis. Then when does the chemo start? Is it like the same week?
Well, this is again where health insurance is it just shows the difference. Basically, within 10 days of being diagnosed, I was doing chemo, and so they put a little thing in called a portocath, which is like a little device in here.
Like a little tap.
Yeah, it's just under the skin, and so they can inject the drug straight into your kind of heart, and you don't have to worry about veins and stuff like that. I got that done. I had scans. I got that done, and within 10 days, I was sitting there as they were pumping all the stuff in, going, "Oh, yep, this is an unexpected event."
Were you like shitting? How were you pre-chemotherapy? Were you shitting bricks, just the fear of the unknown? Or?
Weirdly, the thing that I was having panic attacks about was the portocath. I don't know why, but this thing really freaked me out. And so when we kind of got on there on the day, and the guy I was talking about said, "Look, usually I'm pretty good about this stuff, but I'm losing my shit. Can you give me as much midazolam and fentanyl as you can, as quickly as you can?" And that stuff is freaking awesome. If I was a billionaire, I'd have a raging addiction, but I would pay a really good anaesthetist to manage it. I think the celebrities that die from the stuff, they just have shonky. Just get it. If you're going to get addicted to these things, and I can see why you would, because they are awesome. Really,
like in what way? Just like a nice warm feeling?
It's like you go from being, it's just the best thing. You go from being like, I was really honestly actually having a panic attack. Like, I don't know why, but it just really freaked me out. And so you're like panicking, and they put the fentanyl in, you go panicking. Feeling super relaxed. Oh, this is awesome. Hey, we should do this like every week. You guys are cool. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to take this out at home and go, sorry, I fell out again. We need to do another one.
Fentanyl. Is that what Michael Jackson was taking to sleep?
Yeah, it's actually, and it's incredibly dangerous. And it was dangerous when fentanyl was kind of entering the market here and kids were starting to use it. Like, people don't know how dangerous it is. But when you're getting these procedures done, they give you midazolam and fentanyl, and it is a tiny little cocktail of stuff.
And what's been the biggest sort of surprises about chemotherapy? Because I suppose prior to this, all you sort of knew is what you'd seen on movies and things.
I think the first time was really stressful because it's new, and also what they're looking at is, do you have reactions to the drug? So I was thinking, just don't have a reaction because I want this drug. Like, I don't want, even if you do though. One of the things I've learned about oncology is that it's like this big winding path, and if it's blocked one way, they can just go another way. So there's lots of different things that people can do. And the other thing I've learned about cancer is that everyone's cancer journey is different, like they just are. And so one person's story really isn't relevant to any person at all. It's like, my broken leg, your broken leg, same thing. With cancer, because it's so genetic, the genetic stuff is so important now, and the targeting stuff is so important that it's making comparisons or hearing people's stories or all of those timelines, it's just not relevant. There's just you, and there's the road that you're on.
Is there anything you could have done differently to avoid it?
No.
It's not lifestyle factors or anything.
No, it's just your DNA sometimes just goes, all right, and then it just goes off on this crazy path. And so I didn't drink a lot. Like, one of the things it's just such a bummer, man. Like, one of my biggest regrets is that, so I didn't drink for a long time. And recently, probably in the last couple of years, I've discovered cocktails. I never had cocktails because I would think, I'm not paying $22 for frickin' thing called a Pelican cocktail with mango and egg yolk in it. That's ridiculous. What sort of an idiot would buy that? And then we were out once and I got a cocktail and went, this is the best thing I think that's ever happened to me. This is so nice. And so I really like cocktails, but I'm just never drinking alcohol ever again. Like, it's a group 1 carcinogen, and it would seem pretty frickin' stupid to get this, have all these magical treatments work, and then chuck a carcinogen in on top. So unfortunately for me, cocktails are out the windows, and that's a shame because I think margaritas are one of the great achievements of the human race.
Oh, a spicy margarita with a salty rim, unbeatable.
Or have you had a coconut margarita?
No.
Oh, we won in Melbourne. Just amazing. It's basically it's they make it with a margarita, but you just chuck in some, I think it's coconut cream or something like that. Really nice.
So like, is alcohol like a cause for?
Yeah, it's it's group 1 carcinogen.
Yeah.
Like all this bullshit the alcohol industry gives you about, it's 1 or 2 drinks a day is good for you. No, it's not. On balance, it's bad for everything. And I'm not saying you shouldn't drink, because I used to and enjoyed it and all the rest of that stuff. But it's like, just be aware. It's like having a cigarette. Like, it's a carcinogen, and it's not one drink isn't going to kill you, but the more you drink, the more you increase the likelihood of these things going wrong.
Well, I mean, it's a poison, isn't it?
It pretty much is. I remember when we did the alcohol documentary, we interviewed Jeffrey Palmer, who was scary to interview, because you know how you sit down to do an interview and there's always faffing about as you're fixing stuff. He was like, he sat down and said, right, let's go. It's like, yeah, we could. Beaver's just going to faff about with the lights a little bit, and Gabe's going to do some of these things. And,
batteries always need changing on TV.
Yeah. But he said that one of the biggest regrets of his political career was liberalising the alcohol laws, and he said that if you're trying to bring alcohol into the country now, we wouldn't have it. And it is kind of weird that we freak out about cannabis and MDMA and mushrooms and all these things. Alcohol is by far more harmful than any of those things, But for some reason, those classes of chemicals go, those are very bad. Yeah. It leads to the corruption of society. But alcohol, that's fun.
So, so the original oncologist that you saw that tells you 6 months to 12 months.
Yeah, surgeon.
Surgeon. Oh, yeah, on your insistence. So you sort of like pushed him
and on the basis of him not actually having all the information. He had an initial scan that did look like there'd been spread to kind of liver, possibly spread to livers and lung and things like that. So he had, on what he had in front of him, he made the call that we asked him to make. Yeah,
but it's looking a lot better now. Yeah. Did it annoy you when the Herald article came out after you did the video, and the headline seemed very sort of clickbaity? It said Nigel Latta dead in 6 to 12 months or something. It's very dramatic.
I know I had to ring people. I had to ring my kids and go, nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed. So yeah, like that was a bit clickbaity, and it's part of the whole why I want to kind of try to manage the narrative more. But it's part of the nature of it that happens. And often I feel sorry for the journalists, because the journalists don't write the heading. The journalists will write the article, and then some sub-editor will come in and put a clickbaity heading on, and often I think it drives them crazy.
Oh, it would. If you're a journalist that manages to win someone over and write a story about them, and then they get shat on by whoever writes the headline. So how are things looking now? So the tumour, the treatment's working. The tumour's shrunk 60%, which is massive. Is it gonna keep on shrinking? Is that the hope?
Yeah. So basically, in the initially I had a lymph node here with cancer activity in it. I had some lymph nodes between my lungs with cancer activity in it. Lymph nodes around the stomach with cancer activity in them. Nodules in the peritoneum, which is kind of the outlining of the stomach with cancer activity, and the tumour itself. So after the first kind of 3 months, which is 4 rounds, all the cancer activity has gone from this lymph node. All the activity has gone from here. All of the lymph nodes around the stomach, all of that's gone. There's only one nodule left now in the peritoneum, and that's got that's been reduced down to about 45% of what it was, and the stomach lining has the stomach tumour's thinner, and the activity's gone down by 60%. So it's like
incredible,
moly! I know. The PET scans are like, one of the things about getting these results is it's just tenterhooks. You're just thinking. And the first one was really important, because the first one showed how I was responding to chemotherapy, and so it turns out pretty damn well. And I'm just really glad that there are people sitting in rooms working this stuff out, and I hope they have no work-life balance. I hope they ignore their families and neglect themselves, their health and everything else, and just keep working, because they're doing some amazing stuff. Oncology is changing so quickly. And this is the thing, like every 6 months that you're around, new stuff is coming along. Actually doing real well. So now I feel a lot of the time when I'm feeling sick, and I've got another 11 weeks of that, it's because of the chemo. And so I do have to just keep thinking, this is good, it means it's working. This is good, it means it's working.
Another 11 weeks of that, what do you mean?
So I've got another I'm halfway through the first of the next 4 rounds. I've got four more rounds to go, counting the one I'm in. And so, sort of by the beginning of November, I'll be done with the worst of the chemo stuff, and then it's just the other thing, so the immunotherapy and hopefully the Hazuma, which don't have all the side effects of chemotherapy.
Well, the man sitting in front of me now, you look remarkably healthy.
Yeah, like I feel when I'm not having chemo, the really bad chemo side effects, I actually feel much better than I did before. So I don't have the same symptoms that I did before, and all that kind of stuff. And that's part of the problem, is that now I just get bored, because when you get to a few good days, I instantly get bored because I'm just sitting around. But it's hard to kind of commit to doing anything too much, because there are going to be weeks where you don't feel good. But I get to hang out with Natalie a lot, and we see friends a lot, and that's kind of nice. Like people come over and you have coffee and chat in the afternoon, and that's not something I did before. So there's lots of there are lots of good things about it. Weirdly, my hair doesn't grow.
Random, but it hasn't fallen out.
It hasn't fallen out, which is good. I'm pleased about that. But it doesn't grow. Like I had a haircut just the other day, and that was the first one in 4 months, and I usually get them in every 6 weeks. So the turbo cancer is definitely it's bad for barbers. Barbers are going, man, what's happening with the haircuts? Everyone's got the turbo cancer from the vaccines, and the hair doesn't grow.
Yeah. I had this woman on the podcast earlier this year called Tracy Hickman, who was very sick with cancer, and she chose to die on a certain date, and everything went exactly as she had hoped, which is just wonderful. Have you thought about that? Like, if you got really sick or unwell, would you?
I think what you don't want to be is a burden to the people around you, but like basically, I'm not. No, I wouldn't do that. Like I'm here, and I'm gonna stay here, and I'm doing whatever the hell I can, no matter how sick it makes me, because because it's I want to be every second that I can get with Natalie is like that's a win for me. So I can't imagine ever getting to the point, and it's different for everyone, and people can make their own decisions, and I think that's all good. It's just not going to be me. I'm going to be like kicking away.
I'm happy to hear that. Shit, you love Natalie, eh? Oh my God.
Yeah. I really do. Like, really do. And when we got married, we had this really lovely wedding, and so it was kind of weird that it was 6 months, almost 6 months to the day that I sort of got married, that we got this diagnosis. So yeah, I really do. Like, it's like, and we kind of met at just the right time in our lives, because if we'd met earlier, I don't know that it kind of would have worked out. But like, I was kind of quiet and nerdy, and she was like a super, popular party person.
Well, it's all about timing, isn't it?
Yeah. And so it's like, it's the right time. And now we've got these 5 kids who are all awesome. And we've got, the plan is to get old and grey together. Well,
already grey.
Just to get older.
Hey, I put on Instagram that you're coming over, and there's a bunch of questions here. Yeah. Nigel spoke, again, as I said at the beginning, most of them were like just people just saying, how much love they've got for you and the value you've brought to their life. Nigel spoke at my work a few years ago. One thing that stood out and changed my life was how to allocate time, and his detailed exercise and working out how much of your timeline is spent on must-do things like sleeping, eating, cleaning, and then what time is left for the things you want to do. I'd like to know, has his perspective changed since the cancer diagnosis?
Yeah, well, no, in the sense that I still believe all of those things. I just believe them and live them a lot more now. And so... I like time now is, I really think about that, and I'll think about that because for me, like, it's not, unless some wonder drug comes along, it's not curable. It's going to be manage and maintain it and keep going. And so I really think about how I'm spending. I mean, the nice thing about having cancer is you can do whatever the fuck you want. Like, I can say, I'm tired, going for a nap now, and just get up and leave the room. Or it's like, people come over, can we come and visit? No. Or, should we leave? No, you shouldn't leave. You have to stay because I've got cancer. I want to talk to people. So there's that. But I do think, like, I when I eventually get back into it, there's just some things I won't do. So, like, a lot of my time before this was I'd travel a lot. You have to go away the night before, and sometimes you go away for a few days. We've kind of decided that I'm really not going to do that very much at all. And if I do go away, we'll both go away together and go and hang out in the place and do the thing. And so I do think a lot more about that. And it is that idea that, like, we don't think about dying. We're all dying. Some of us are just closer to it than others, and some of us it'll be by accident. Some of us it'll be by illness. But you do really have to think about, okay, if that happened to me, like if, and there'd be lots of people thinking, man, I'm glad I'm not him. And that's a good thing. I'm glad it's not you too. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. But you should think, but what if it was me? If it was me, do I have my legal shit in order? Do I have insurance? Like, will my family be all right? What are the protections I've got in place for them? And who am I spending time with, and how am I doing it? Like, so I would do a lot of kind of after dinner speaking. And you go along, you have dinner, do your speech, and stay for the night. Now I'm not going to stay for the night. I'm going to go along. I'm going to do my thing, and then I'm going to hightail it out of there and go home and be with family, because that's practicing what I preach. So yeah, I think about it, but I really think about it now.
Yeah. Someone said, are there any lessons he's learned from the diagnosis that he wish he realised earlier in life?
No, actually there haven't been. Really, what's been interesting is, you know, because I do talk a lot about kind of resilience and all that sort of stuff. But I've never like really been tested. And there's something about when a guy says, you'll be dead in maybe in 6 months. Mate, no, don't beep at me. It's just my little app saying, take some stuff. No, I've got cancer. I don't have to. Actually, I do. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Do you need a break?
No, I'm good. But yeah, so and I completely the chemo brain. What the hell was I saying then? Something.
Like lessons since the diagnosis that you wish you.
No, so I haven't changed anything that I thought, but I've really had to really kind of double down and focus on how I apply it and see if those things do actually work. And it turns out when you're facing like some super big stuff like you could die, it works. Like it does work. That's the thing that's got me through is just having those basic principles that when I don't know what to do, I fall back on those things. It's like, I feel terrible. What am I going to do? Do something nice for someone else. I feel lost and depressed and hopeless. What can you control right now? I can't control the future, but I can pat the dog. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, it seems like you're very optimistic now, but there must have been like a period there where you were sort of staring death in the face. Any big surprises about confronting death?
So no, I'm not scared of dying, like at all. Like what I don't want, the thing that frightens me, the thing that I don't like thinking about is leaving Natalie alone. But I'm not scared of dying, because it's like I'm not a deeply kind of spiritual person. Like a little bit of woo-woo's all right. Like I meditate, and a little bit of woo-woo on top of that, that's good. But I'm not a deeply spiritual person, so it's like I go to sleep every night, and I sleep for 8 hours a night, and I don't remember it. I wasn't here for the first, 17 point something billion years of the universe, and I'm not feeling traumatized about that. So I know that actually, for me, I've got the easy part. I'm either living and getting better and going on for a long time, or it takes a turn and it goes bad and I die. If that happens, it'll be the people around me that have to carry that, because the process of dying itself, that doesn't frighten me. The idea of being dead, it doesn't frighten me. I don't think I'm going to get up there and, someone's going to cast me down. Probably the anti-vaxxers will be up there.
What do you think happens when you die? Do you think there's an afterlife or anything?
I'm just a really pragmatic biological person. No, I think that we're biological beings. We're made of bits of stars from, the Big Bang 17 billion years ago. And what happens is, you come from it, you go back to that. And so, no, I don't have this idea that there'll be some, it'd be cool if it was, that's a nice idea. I just don't actually believe it.
Yeah, I'm much the same. It's the Stephen Hawking theory. We're like a computer, and you get switched off, and that's it.
Because it happens every night. Yeah, like you go to sleep, and you're not thinking, "Oh, that was terrible." No, you're just asleep. And if you don't remember your dreams, then there's a whole period of where essentially you didn't exist in your own consciousness for that period of time. And so the idea that could extend longer, it's like, well, that won't be that. I won't have to be that will be borne by the people around me and the people that care about me, and that's the bit that I don't like.
Why is your big concern about leaving Natalie?
Because
just the whole little leaving.
I hate the idea of her being alone. Well, she won't be. She's got lots of friends and stuff. But I don't like the idea of not being there, of her missing me and not being able to help and all of that. So that's the one bit of all of this that's the intolerably painful part of it for me. Yeah.
And any FOMO? No.
I've been,
that's what it would be. I reckon if I was in your shoes, that's what it would be for me. It'd be the FOMO about the stuff that I'm not going to get to see.
There's all of that. Like this fear of there's the there is all of that. But again, like I don't know if lucky is the right word, but like, you know, all of the kids are pretty much older and people and in their life, and that's the thing about it. Like if you're a parent, if you're lucky, you don't get to see how it ends for your kids, and so that's something everyone has to kind of deal with. My dad died 20-something years ago, and
but bowel cancer, eh?
yeah, it was bowel cancer, and so we just had, you know, my oldest was just a little guy then, and my second one being born, he was just like a tiny little baby, and so Dad missed all of this stuff since then that he would have enjoyed, and all this time with Mum and stuff. But it's like that's the way that things kind of sometimes happen. Someone has to go first. It's like that's how it goes.
Yeah. Do you have like a bucket list or anything like that? I mean, time's like running out for all of us, but I suppose a diagnosis like this crystallizes things a bit.
Where I've been really fortunate in life is that pretty much everything that I've wanted to do, I've done. So like when I was little, I wanted to publish a book. I did that. And
many times,
and then wanted to go to the Antarctic, and I did that, and that's a pretty miraculous thing. So, and I've, you know, my oldest is really into traveling to adventurous and strange places, and so I've been to some pretty amazing. I'm traveling through Iran, and we went to this thing called Babak Castle, and it always involves walking up some massive bloody hill. And it's like 600 steps, and then walking way off into the back of beyond these mountains in Iran. And then you come to this bit where you come through this little cutting, and it's like a scene from Lord of the Rings, this abandoned castle perched on a cliff face. And so I've done all of that. I've jumped out of planes. Tally's meant I've jumped out of planes. I've got just so there's nothing I have on my bucket list. My list now is just about time with people that I care about. I don't think, I wish I'd gone to there, because I don't. You know, I mean, there are places in the world I haven't been to, but it's like I don't feel that, you know, so I can go or not go. It doesn't really bother me.
Google images.
Yeah.
What about regrets? Any regrets?
Yeah, I mean, I think most people do. Like, I wish I'd known earlier in life. I wish I'd worked out earlier in life that actually you and just relax into that. Like I was quite shy as a kid, and as an adolescent, I was more of a kind of an introvert and stuff. And so I've always kind of, I wish I'd, and you can never know this because that's part of the process, but I wish I'd kind of known, like, you're just you and that's enough. Like, it's fine. Just relax with that. That would have made things a lot easier.
I think a lot of that just comes with age, eh? You sort of grow into yourself.
Yeah.
You realise what's important.
Well, you have to, because it's like, oh shit, I'm not changing. Like, it's just this. Like, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think you do. I think you do. But it'd be nice if I could have known that earlier, but no one does, because that's what you work out. There are times I think I'd been more doing work. Like I missed my dad's 60th because I was working. We took his adolescents off on these 10-day wilderness programs. And I was doing one of those instead of his, and it's that kind of stuff. Like I think my prioritizing has been a bit wrong.
Yeah.
But you know, no.
Yeah, like Sinatra, eh?
Yeah.
A few, but too few to mention.
Yeah, it's like there's no point, because like everyone messes things up, and of course there are things I could go back and do them differently. But I just think it all leads to kind of where you are. There's nothing I'd go back and undo, because that's led to where I am now. And actually, apart from cancer, I'm pretty happy with where I am now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and fucking up, it's the human experience, isn't it?
It really is. It's like, and that's where you learn the most, and it's where I've always learnt the most. It's like you fuck things up, you make mistakes, you get things wrong. It's like, that wasn't very smart.
What about legacy? Is legacy something you've given much thought to or anything?
No, because it's like, I don't care. I'll be dead. Like, no. You know, what? Like, no.
I don't know. I feel like it's an ego thing. Like, just no one wants to be forgotten, right?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with the fact that I'll be completely forgotten. It's like in 100 years, like no one's going to know who any of us were. Like there's the Shakespeares and those sorts of people will know who they were, but for the rest of us, no one's going to know.
Yeah, that's a funny thing, isn't it? Even like the most famous person in the world, say Taylor Swift, 500 years from now, no one's going to know.
And like David Bowie, you know, it's like David Bowie, like who died of cancer. It's like, even if you're David Bowie, you die. Even Bowie dies. If Bowie dies, there's no hope for any of us, because if anyone was going to not, it'd be him. But
yeah, no one gets out alive.
No.
Are you proud of yourself?
I I'm proud of things that I've done, and I'm proud of things that I've done, and I'm also conscious of the fact that it's always tempered with the idea that these are things I've done with other people, and it's not false humility or modesty or anything like that. It's just the frickin' truth. Like everything I've ever done that's been of any worth or good at all has been done with other people. It's not all just me. And so because you write the book and your name's on the front, or you present the TV show and so you're the face that people see, there is that tendency for people to see it as being your thing. But I'm hugely aware that it's not. Like I've worked a lot with this guy Mitchell Hawkes and Arwen O'Connor, who's Mitchell's a director and Arwen's a producer, and like they're just freaking geniuses and they're amazingly good at what they do. And so my success in TV was off the back of everyone else. I do think, and Radar said this once, that, you know, he said, don't fuck this up, because if we do, the only one that doesn't work again is me. You know, presenters get axed, everyone else keeps going.
Yeah. Oh, this has been great. This
Yeah.
has been so much fun. So this has been like 90 minutes. Is this exhausting for you? Or has this been cathartic? Is it just...
No, it's not exhausting at all. Like, it's a weird thing to sit around and talk about yourself, because I don't generally, because I just don't.
Yeah, I know that. I listen to every podcast I could find about you, and it's there's very, very few out there. So I was just incredibly grateful when you said you'd do it.
Well, no, it's like, part of it is like, all these lovely people have been concerned, and so I do want to kind of let people know that actually I'm doing all right, and I do appreciate really appreciate the nice things that people have said.
Yeah, it's an outpouring of love.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it you know, it does make me think everybody that gets cancer should get this from everyone, like, 'cause it's really nice. So it's about just letting people know that actually I'm doing all right, and I do think I kind of have some ideas of I had a bookie idea this morning about some big ideas and principles of things that kind of work, and sharing those with people, because I think none of them are mine. They're all been around for a long time, but I just think there are things that work. So it's been like, it's interesting, and it's fun. And it's the one time you can talk about yourself, and it's like, that's the purpose of it. Like, if I don't, this is not going to work.
Yeah. It makes it a difficult podcast.
Yeah.
I noticed you getting emotional there. Like, have you become more emotional with the diagnosis? Like with, I suppose, like tears of gratitude?
Yeah, like it's really been lovely, like the stuff that people have said. And you do, I think, you do become. I remember Di Hemwood talked about this. Like, he found himself crying over song lyrics, and like I found myself doing that. Like I was watching Veep. I forget something weirdly for Veep, because nothing nice ever happens in Veep. Something nice happened, and I got quite tearful over that. And
And what?
in Veep, you know, the show with Julie Louis-Dreyfus. She's the vice president.
Oh,
it's a sitcom. It's really great. And all of the characters are terrible people. They're just, apart from Gary, who's lovely. All of them are terrible. But there was something in that sort of made me a bit sort of tearful. So you do kind of. I do feel more on that stuff. I mean, I'm always been like, I don't have an issue with kind of crying and getting upset about stuff and getting weepy over things, because I think that's all good and it's part of life. But you certainly, I think the chemo process and the cancer process and reevaluating things and thinking about your life and how much time you've got and how much more you want, and, you know, being exhausted and being happy and all of that, just see, that was a chemo thought that started as an idea. That started as a well-rounded idea, and halfway through it, I completely lost it, and I thought, keep talking, it'll come back, and then it didn't. I thought, no, it's just going to trail off now, and that's exactly what it did. Yeah.
Shit. Is there anything that we haven't discussed today that you wanted to?
No, I think just make sure everyone out there that you health insurance, if you can afford it, income protection if you can afford it, and life. It feels like a luxury, or it feels like something that's a waste of money, and it is until you need it. And 1 in 3 people get frickin' cancer. I'm not saying it to be doomy and gloomy. I'm just saying, get your affairs in order, and as much as you're able to, in the circumstances that you've got, make sure all that practical stuff is sorted out. Like, that's the most. If I hadn't done some of the things I'd done, it would have been a million times harder. And I feel, again, this is the iniquity of the health system, that there are a lot of people who've got friggin' a million times harder than me, because they're dealing with not only the cancer and the treatment stuff, but not being able to get access to some of those other drugs, and just how do I pay the bills? And that was my first thought, was like, shit, how do we pay the bills? I had no idea what we were at with insurance stuff. And so I rang my guy Andy straight away. He was literally my first call.
That's bleak, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
But it's a reality, I guess.
Yeah.
God, selfless, eh? Totally selfless. There was a friend of mine, Fraser Grew. You met him in May 2023. He's doing a thing called the 10,000 Dreams Project, where he's going around filming a bunch of people about their dreams. Yeah. Can you remember what you said to him in May 2023?
No.
Your dream then was to make the world a fairer place.
Oh.
Yeah. Will it still be the same now?
Yeah, it would be. Clearly, I didn't achieve that, did I? It doesn't feel like that's gone so well. I would have to get a more achievable one. No, I mean, I think it's really easy to get lost in the fact that the world's fucked and everyone's crazy. And I think that since the pandemic, people are there's an element of people that are kind of angry. Like, there's an angry component to that whole anti-vax, that I find quite disturbing and a bit sad, because they feel obviously put upon. But actually, if you look at the statistics, the world is a gentler place than it's ever been. There are less wars. You're less likely to die by violence. You're less likely to be the victim of a violent crime. All of these things are true. It just doesn't feel true. It feels like the world's just going to hell, because we've got Trump and we've got people yelling stuff and crazy things are happening all over the place. But actually, it's not. The world's actually pretty nice. And when people are having trouble, people help them. And so I just think we just need to kind of just stay focused on the fact that we're far from perfect and things are still pretty messed up, but we're getting better. We're doing our best. We're chugging along, Climate change, that's a thing, but someone will work at it.
You're right. That's what I'm banking on as well. The smart people do it.
Yes, the smart people do it. That's why every time I go have some fancy scan, I always say to people who do a scan, man, I'm so glad that people like you were sitting around and inventing machines and training. The rest of us, we've just been watching Netflix and eating chips, and you guys have been building these amazing machines and training yourself. I'm glad that you're not like lazy like the rest of us. And it's true. There are people just coming up with solutions. We'll solve it. The world's not going to end.
Oh, I love that. Oh, Nigel Latta, thank you so much. You are an absolute national treasure. Can we do a follow-up, like 2 or 3 years from now?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do a follow-up 2 or 3 years from now. Yeah, that would be good. Be good. I'm sure we'll learn some more things 2 or 3 years from now. I look forward to that.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate you so much. And on behalf of everyone in New Zealand, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, John. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it.